This is Shaun Sport in podcast form.
Well, I think it was a bit of a gift yesterday when the Australian cricket team weren't sent into bat. They were the ones bowling. And I think
they lost
India,
a toss for the first time in ages.
Yeah, and the good news is because we elected to bat in the other two games now, straight away we're on the back foot. You know, wickets just falling left, right and centre. Anyway, Nathan, as you would expect, you would say that the Indians would take control of this game.
Yes.
And by, halfway through the first day, then we're just about
It's all over.
Yeah,
Yep.
Pat Cummins. But, there's a big difference when Steve Smith was captaining this team. He really was locked in. You can see the concentration. You can see the way he handled all the players.
Okay.
He really captained.
But do you
he
think
really
he was
led.
really trying hard
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's his first day filling in?
Probably.
Yeah.
And the captain at the moment is again
Pat Cummins, who
that's
went
right.
home.
We don't like him.
No,
do
he's
we?
nice. He's
Do
got
we?
lovely eyes.
No,
He's
Well,
the
the one who-
eyes don't captain a team.
He's got a sick mum.
He's got a sick mum,
Oh, that's
so we're
nice.
going to leave him out of it at the
Yeah,
moment.
that's
But,
sad, but
I'll tell you
you-
how I feel in a few weeks.
But I'm tracking. You don't think he's as good as Sam Smith?
What I saw yesterday versus Pat Cummins' captaincy, and I also heard how difficult it is to captain a team when you're a fast bowler now.
When you're the bowler, yeah.
So you're doing all that hard yards, you're going back to your
And there's
marks,
all this
sprinting
stuff
in.
happening. And
Yeah.
And you've got to do all the field placements and stuff, yeah.
And that was the difference yesterday with
Steve Smith.
old mate Steve Smith. Straight away, Australia got off to a cracking start, and they were just lobbing the bowlers, in particular the spinners, were just bowling hand grenades all the time. Matt Kuhneman, who I'd never heard of before, started playing, and he took 5 wickets, which was outstanding. But the worst part was the cricket pitch itself. They
just watching TV.
distracted by a couple of what I could say Roman-looking guys just scantily
carting
clad.
a woman around in a chariot on the stage. Anyway, sorry, cricket.
That's how my house operates.
Is that how you
That's
get
a
carried
live-
around, or is
that's-
that Megan?
That's a live feed
that
from
Megan?
Shaun's house.
Yeah, absolutely. The worst part about the day was the pitch, and it looks like the game's going to be over in a couple of days for sure.
Again, yeah.
Mark Waugh and also Matthew Hayden they talked about how bad they thought the pitch is. Here's their thoughts, and I'll speak afterwards.
Now, that's just not a pitch up the test standard. That is not good enough. It doesn't matter how good a player you are, you're going to need luck to get runs on this sort of surf.
Here in indoor, 4.8 degrees. That's massive turn. That's the sort of turn you'd expect day 3. Well, hello. Day 1, day 2 should be about batting.
Wickets were going left, right and centre. The ball was turning. Matthew Hayden was going off about the pitch, but he was sitting next to...
He's a batsman, so of course he's not going to like it. But if you're Nathan Lyon, you're going to love it.
Well, yeah, I did enjoy watching it from a spectacle. But so Matthew Hayden's talking. He's next to two former Indian players bagging out the pitch, and he's waiting for one of them to jump in and give him a hand.
And none of them did.
Just
Just standing there going,
well, it is a little tricky. That's about all you got out of them, so that was quite funny. But Australia doing a great job. 154. We're
Cam
in front.
Green's in.
Sorry. I find that funny. Do you think that's a bit funny? Only because I don't get the cricket joke. So, like, you two are probably going, ha, and I'm going, what? What's funny about that?
Well, Australia back at it again. Cam Green's in, so that should be interesting. And also, WA are playing in the cricket today. They're hosting Tasmania. Cameron Bancroft averaging 64. He leads the nation. Hopefully, he can put some runs on the board and make it back into the Australian team.
Wow, that was
Yes, fingers crossed.
Some good cricket
It's
information.
good cricket,
that was.
Nathan.
Some good cricket.
Now back to
Good
the telly.
cricket. Back to your half-naked chariot men.
Yesterday early, we got the opportunity to catch up with David Croft, who's the voice of F1 racing for Sky Sports. Everybody knows his name who's into this sport.
Oh, you know his voice. That's
You know
for
his
sure.
voice, yeah, you certainly do. He's coming to Perth, actually, Monday the 3rd of April and Tuesday the 4th of April. You can get tickets from fanofsport.com, okay, www.fanofsport.com. So we got to have an interview via Skype with David.
Yes.
Our good friend Zach, who works with us, he brought in some F1 hats.
Well, he's a massive
Yeah.
F1 fan, so we gave him the opportunity to ask some questions as well.
Zach, you would remember, who was the person that won the go-karting the other day, even though Shaun apparently won, but Zach
Yes.
won.
And the reason Zach was so good is that he watches so much F1.
And he
remember that.
brought those hats in for us as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yes, we all were. He's like,
Anyway, we're wearing hats. This is how it went.
How are we all?
oh, we're very good, Crofty.
Very early.
Hey, David.
Here, very
Yeah,
late
super
there.
early.
Right. Who's wearing a McLaren hat for a start?
Shaun.
Shaun, right. I was going to write Shaun, Eternal Optimist. Okay. Nat, you're the one with the glasses.
Yes,
right?
that's me.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I
Excellent.
can
And
I'll put
Nathan-
this on. Hang on.
Oh, you got a cap too?
Ferrari.
Signed by
Ferrari,
Sebastian.
excellent.
Signed by Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah.
Oh, vintage Ferrari. I love it. And Nathan,
Yes?
what's your hat say?
I've got Red Bull.
Oh, it's a Red Bull. I couldn't quite see it on here. Right, so Glory Hunter is hoping it's finally going to be their year. And like I say, the Eternal Optimist. That's the new name of the show. Love this.
Well, we've got a very special guest here because this is
yeah?
Zach. Zach's not usually on the radio. Zach, get over to the microphone. You are on the radio now. Zach does production here, and he heard that you were going to be on the show, and it's akin to a 15-year-old girl getting to meet Harry Styles.
Yes, it is.
I'm very excited.
He's also the owner of all the hats.
Yeah. And what hat are you
Love it.
wearing, Zach?
Zach, come and say hello.
I'm wearing a Lewis Hamilton Mercedes hat.
Oh, certainly jumping on the bandwagon, David. Don't you reckon?
Yes. To be honest, so last year, but as a Stevenage boy myself, I cannot find fault with your choice of outfit, Zach. You're a top man.
I have the shirt on
You'll
as
go
well.
far in life.
Well, David, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on, and we're looking forward to you to coming to Perth and doing a few shows. Mate, the F1 circus is in full flight at the moment, and you must be pretty pumped for the start of the season.
Absolutely. It's gone midnight here in Bahrain, and I've been here since testing. But do you know what? What's a late night between friends or an early morning? Thanks for dressing up, all of you.
Thank you.
For this interview. Listen, I can't wait to get going. Don't get me wrong, we needed a break over the winter. The winter's been good. The World Cup was at just the right time for me to lay on the sofa and watch 3 games of footy a day.
Yeah.
But I want to get back to the day job now. You know, England have failed to bring it home. It's time to get back on with the real sport. And testing has just whetted our appetite. 3 days of testing at the circuit. What can we read into it? Who knows? We'll find out at the weekend. But yeah, excitement, even for Bahrain, excitement is reaching fever pitch at the moment.
Yeah, righto.
David, there's the whole, race and commentating and all that sort of stuff, but I want to know about how they treat David Croft.
Yes.
Right now, the room that you're in, do you get do you get a room that has like a separate dining room and stuff, or do you get what we all get, which is just like a bed and then like the TV cabinet?
Is it a full-on suite?
Yeah, nearest thing I got to a dining room today was a bag of Haribos that I got from the local garage. I'd like to show you this room, but I've been in it for nearly a week.
You can tell.
I would just say if my fiance was here, I don't think we'd be engaged anymore. There's way too many. There's like a floor drobe in one corner where I've missed the hangers. There's a couch buried under some shirts somewhere. There was a magnificent, and I have to say this is the 5-star suite, the magnificent view of the flyover right outside my room, where at various stages in the night, various locals decide that hooning is a great idea at kind of 2 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I guess
you're
they
there.
figure that you would appreciate that.
I think you're at the window commentating.
If anyone's going to appreciate that, it's you.
I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I appreciate the sound of a V8 engine. I just appreciate it more at 8 o'clock in the morning, not 2 o'clock.
Hey, David, you get to zing around in F1 cars, which I've seen you do before. You're commentating that stuff all the time. What do you get around in when you're driving yourself?
Well, I'd like to say, Shaun, it's a Prius, but that would be wrong on all sorts of levels. To be fair, I don't work for Uber, so it's not a Prius. I drive an Alfa Romeo Stelvio, which I've actually had for 4 years now. I love my car. Yeah, I honestly, so it's an SUV. It's great for the family, but it thinks it's a racing car. And,
it's not the driver, it's the vehicle.
It's the vehicle, yeah.
It's definitely. I played golf yesterday, and as we were going on the golf buggy, I'm playing with a mate of mine, and I went, right, okay, hit the apex, let it drift out wide. Another apex, drift out wide again. He's like, do you ever stop trying to be a racing driver? I'm like, nope, not even at 5 miles an hour. But the Stelvio serves me well, and I like it a lot. It could do with a clean. To be fair, a bit like this bedroom, but it's 4 years old, so I'm not changing cars every year. My other half's just got a new Mercedes. She is a lucky woman,
wow!
I'm not allowed to drive it yet. It's got to have a few more miles on the clock before I get behind the wheel of that one, apparently.
Fair enough.
So we've got Zach here, as you know, and Zach has come and he's done homework and written some questions.
Righto, Zach.
Tragic.
Ask Crofty. Come on, this is your chance.
Okay, go to some of your favourite questions.
Here we go.
Okay, well, I have 20 questions.
No,
And they're-
no.
no, but they're yes or no questions.
All right,
So
yes or
they're
no?
pretty quick. So, okay, all right. Will Red Bull and Max win both titles again this year?
Okay, first off, Zach, right? These three people have bullied you into this, right? So they haven't done
Oh,
they don't
no.
do any research themselves.
I think I
No,
bullied
no,
them.
no,
Mate,
no.
mate,
He
hey,
begged
this
us.
is Daniel Ricciardo territory, so we're all over it.
And also, David, whether Zach's here or not, we still would have done no research.
Fair enough, then. Fair enough. Just make sure, Zach, that you collect your fee as you're walking out. I'm your new
will.
agent.
We'll
on
give
this
him
one.
his $3.
We'll allow him to stay for another day.
He's a good man. Will they win both titles? Short answer, possibly. Long answer, I think Max will be the drivers' champion, but I actually think Ferrari, and to be honest, Nat, this could be a good year to bring out your vintage Ferrari cap here. I think Ferrari will score more consistent good points than Red Bull will. Red Bull will probably get more wins. Ferrari will score consistently more points. I think Ferrari will win the Constructors this year. Yeah. Let's face it, it's been a while since that's happened, and it's about time it did.
Yeah,
Now,
right.
I hate to nitpick, Zach, but that was technically 2 questions. Anyway,
That was
continue.
Okay, the next one's one question. Are Mercedes in trouble this year?
Yes, certainly compared to how they've performed in most years of the turbo hybrid era. I think whilst it is not as much doom and gloom as you might think, it's clear that there are issues with this current car that are not necessarily the porpoising issues of last year. And I think it might take until Imola for them to bring an upgrade package that will start to let them show what their true potential pace is. Personally, I think they go into the first race of the season neck and neck with Aston Martin, but let's see when they hit the track on Friday.
There you go.
Crofty, one of the things about the F1s we've seen over many years is the amount of money spent in there, and sometimes it can be just, one team that's just put in all the money and getting the right results. How's it? And with that, there's always trying to make it a level playing field. How are we able to see consistently teams changing who wins more often than what we have in the past?
Shaun, if you've written that question yourself, go to the head of the class, my friend.
We actually got off Zach's page.
That's magnificent. I think, look, you're absolutely right. One team has dominated the turbo hybrid era since 2014 way too much.
Yeah.
Red Bull, though, stopped the Mercedes championship succession last year, albeit they go into this season very much on the front foot, looking like they could well win it again. The cost cap will stop teams spending obscene amounts of money to get 2 cars from A to B. And at least we have an upper ceiling limit, although a lot of teams still not hitting that limit, to be fair. What I think is more relevant is the limit in wind tunnel and CFD research time, computational fluid dynamics. Never thought you'd hear that at this time of the morning.
Quite erotic, actually, Dave.
I always thought CFD was some dodgy prog rock band from Canada when I was growing up, but no, the computational fluid dynamics is what we exist in. That's where they design the car on the computer. Then it goes into the wind tunnel for testing. Aston Martin finished 7th last year. They get 100% of the wind tunnel time. Red Bull, as champions, get 70% because it's a sliding scale of less time the more successful you are. But of course, they had that penalty for spending too much money in the cost cap era, so it's down to 63%. That has got to hurt when you go from 320 wind tunnel runs over a period to 201. It's a big difference, so it limits your development. That said, Red Bull start with a really good footing, so it might take a couple of years for that to really come into force. But it's why I think Ferrari have got a chance this year, because they're not as far behind Red Bull as, say, Aston Martin were, finishing 7th, and they've got that extra time in the wind tunnel, that extra CFD time to really make it count. And I hope it does happen, because We don't want to see Red Bull having to tow a caravan around as some sort of success ballast. But this should be, in technical terms, the equivalent to at least a trailer tent.
Right.
Back to Zach with the question.
Oh, he's only got 18 to go.
Okay, well, we've got another Australian in the grid this year, Oscar Piastri.
Yep.
I was just going to ask, what are your thoughts on him initially in the test?
Not a yes or no question, Zach. But
Okay,
anyway, keep
well,
going.
do you think he's going to beat Lando in his first rookie year?
This is Lando's, fifth year in Formula One. For Oscar to beat Lando over the course of a season, I think he's even better than we think he is, and we think he's great, to be fair. I don't see him beating him over the course of a season. I think that McLaren's still a really difficult car to drive. There was a moment in the test where we saw Oscar have a spin. Yep. Lando at the same corner had the same issue, the same snap on the car, managed to catch it and avoid the spin.
Yeah.
Oscar's got to develop his, driving style. He's got to develop his instincts. He's got to develop his consistency, and eventually he'll start catching that snap. But I don't think from the start, and I think in what is quite a difficult car to drive, I'd be amazed if Oscar beats Lando. But one day, Oscar Piastri will start to beat a more experienced teammate more consistently.
Well, Crofty, on that, I'm going to jump in there with Daniel Ricciardo territory, which we're in. So last year we saw Lando Norris be able to complete most of the circuits. Every time Daniel jumped in the car, there was a problem, he crashed, or the car wasn't just driving well at all, just completely packed it in. Well, why was there such a big difference? Or is it just the drivers having one of those years? Or actually, Daniel probably had a couple of those years.
It just sounds like Daniel hasn't been getting his car regularly serviced.
Yes.
So the thing is, you develop a style, don't you, as you learn and as you go through the ranks. And Daniel developed a style at Red Bull, and that suited him well, and it took him to 8 Grand Prix wins. Lando developed a style at McLaren, which obviously suits that McLaren car. It's all he's ever known. Daniel's now hopped into a car which doesn't quite suit his style. It was all in the braking, which is why Monza in 2020, we saw the best of Daniel Ricciardo. You don't have to brake much at Monza. It's, pretty flat out for most of the race. But he was losing so much time under braking, and he couldn't adapt his style to suit the demands of a difficult car to drive. And that's why in the end, after trying and exhausting everything, McLaren said, enough's enough. We got to move on here and end this relationship. Cheers. Daniel's in a good place at Red Bull. Should they decide to change their driver lineup in the future, it will show the team what he can do. I hope he gets back into Formula One. We miss Daniel Ricciardo. In the paddock. It was strange that he wasn't at testing. It just felt odd without him. Yeah, he's not going to be at all the races, but he's got a big job to do for Red Bull, in the sim this year. There was nothing. It was nothing different with the cars, but there was a lot of difference in the way that Lando and Daniel drive those cars, and it just did not suit Daniel Ricciardo, and it's a real shame because that should have been a marriage. That should have been a marriage made in heaven. Yeah, that should have been Olivia and Jackson at the start of Married at First Sight Australia Series 9.
Oh my God,
that is a horrible reference.
How dare you bring them up?
But by the time we get to Olivia goes to see Jackson's mates, and starts, bitching about him being in the gym all the time. Cracks are appearing on this one. Don't spoil it. I'm at episode 28. As soon as we finish this interview,
you're better than that, Crofty. What are you doing?
Are better than that, David.
She is
David.
Evil.
Come on, mate.
We can't end like this. This is a disaster.
No, this is winter binge watching, and I am addicted to this thing.
No.
Poor Dion.
No.
Poor Dion. I was crying for that.
Dion.
Right back.
This is unbelievable. I was gonna throw into the mix. What do you watch when you're not watching racing? And now
now we know. And
never.
We're horrified.
Wow.
So Jack Doohan, son of Mick Doohan, great F2 driver. an Alpine's reserve driver, came into the commentary box during testing. Yeah, we started talking Mavsa together.
Did you? Oh my God, Mickey Dewart's son.
In the paddock.
Oh,
My Lord.
I'm horrified.
Oh my God! Well, wait until you cop an Eye of Harrison from
The
this year.
next series, yeah, exactly.
If you're loving Olivia, you'll love Harrison.
Well, Dave, we've got to let you go. I know you're
wait.
super busy. You've got more maths to watch, clearly.
That's right.
You're coming to Perth on Monday, the 3rd of April, and Tuesday, the 4th of
Just
April.
before Easter?
We can't wait to see
baby.
that. For everyone, trybooking.com/events is where you can get your tickets. And I'm sure these will be sold out in absolute heartbeat, David. We really appreciate your time. And happy maths watching, my friend.
Yeah, seriously, I'm gonna. It's all kicking off. Al has made a massive, big effort. Will he be able to keep his bride? You know, Al who just thinks his answer to life is to go and do a shoey. Is that going to be enough to save his marriage?
How do we make him stop?
Honestly, if they replace Daniel Ricciardo with Al and let Daniel Ricciardo do the shoey, I'm sure there would be absolute harmony on this one. He's not got much on in the next couple of weeks. Maybe they could. Maybe they should.
Maybe they
Poor Al.
Everybody,
Crofty.
and that was how to end an international career with one interview.
Thanks so much for your time, Crofty. You're a legend. Thank
Perth,
you.
we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Can't wait. Me and
Bye-bye.
Karun
Yeah,
chat
David.
live on
Thanks,
stage.
Crofty.
We'll have some chat.
Bye, mate.
See you, man.
How was that, guys?
That was so funny.
Brilliant. So good.
That's
Wait.
great, Croft.
Right, here's
Zach's
Zach,
still got
sorry.
17
Sorry,
more
yeah, I
questions.
still got 70 more. But one question I really want answered is how many more years do we think Lewis Hamilton has?
Ooh,
'cause he's-
contract's up at the end of this year.
Yes.
I
The
think
car's
he's
not
got
looking
at
good.
least, I know he's got at least another 2 years
Yeah.
as a top driver, but will Mercedes give him the car
that he
to make
needs.
him want to stay? That's the thing.
But they've got enough.
Okay, enough guys.
Like they don't just have one car, do they? I don't know.
Well, let's put some meat on the bones here,
What?
right?
What?
Mercedes will offer Lewis Hamilton a massive
screwy
deal to be an
balls.
ambassador, long-term deal,
Yep.
lots of money, be a Mercedes ambassador when he stops driving. But Lewis Hamilton wants that 8th world title.
Yes. Yeah.
And will Mercedes have a Formula One car that Lewis
Yes.
can use to compete for an 8th world title in the next couple of years? Or does he have to think about somewhere else for that?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Or is
yeah,
George
very
going to
good.
come up?
Or is 7 world titles enough,
No,
Never enough.
Eight is such a better number when
Yeah.
you came so close in Abu Dhabi in 2021.
It's like the people that can't put the volume on a TV at 23.
Yes,
it has to be on
that's right.
24.
That's
It's
right.
like, just like it doesn't
Yeah.
sit well with it. That's me.
So, does anyone watch TV below 23?
No. Well, we can't hear your voice.
I know.
Over the screech
I thought,
marks.
by the sounds of it, you're watching maths on 30.
Crofty, I've got one quick thing.
Zach, we
Sorry,
have to
I know
go.
one quick thing, but this is for Shawnee. During testing, you mentioned the West Coast Eagles 2 or 3 times. You even mentioned Carlton as well. I was wondering
Yeah.
because Sean McManus used to be the Fremantle Dockers captain. Could we get a mention of Freo Dockers
The purple.
this year?
The power of the purple, David.
Purple Army.
To be honest, I ought to mention the Dockers a bit more often,
Yeah.
given that I went to see the Eagles against the Dockers in the Derby. last
did
year.
ya?
You've got family here, haven't you, David? Is that right?
Yeah, I've got some cousins.
Yeah.
There is a David Croft in Perth.
Yeah, I heard you mention that during testing as
Yeah.
well. I couldn't believe that.
So so I went to see the Dockers against the Eagles at the big stadium.
Yeah.
And they gave me an Eagles jersey to wear. Perhaps not the best thing to have worn on that day, because I think the Eagles were lucky to get nil, quite frankly. It was an appalling performance.
It was just an off year, don't worry, we'll be back.
Exactly. The Dockers did all right. And then I went on the next night. What's the Monday night football show that they have?
Yep.
The big one?
Foxtel.
Oh, it'd be Fox Foot. It'll be a
Yeah,
Fox Footy one,
yeah.
was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever
Oh,
the big
Talking
show
Footy.
is.
Yeah, talking footy probably.
Yeah. I forget. Honestly, I forget. But they decided that I was now an expert in footy. And they said, "Oh, you've been to the Eagles?" I said, "Yes." He said, "They didn't play very well." No, they didn't. What was wrong with their performance? I saw 3 things, and 3 things only. They had trouble running. They had trouble jumping, and they had trouble catching. Other than that, it was a pretty decent performance.
Wow.
That was my
Probably
assessment
quite
of the
good
Eagles that
insight.
day.
Yeah.
I mean, Shaun, you still got all your teeth?
I've had. Yes, I have got, but my nose is sideways.
And he can't
I've
remember
had
his PIN
concussion
number.
1,000 times over. Every joint in my body is horrendous. So yeah, I'm in pain a lot,
mate. Mate, I'm not surprised. It is honestly, it's a brilliant game to watch, and I really appreciate seeing it live. But you guys are the bravest things on two legs out there. To be
brave
fair,
or stupid?
Yeah, it's a fine line. She's a fine line.
Yeah.
Hey, Crofty, we've got to go because we've got to go.
Hey,
and
you've got a
talk
show to do, haven't you?
No, we've got to go and talk to Fat Boy Slim. That is our morning.
Yeah.
You and Fat Boy Slim.
Yeah, Norman.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Fat Boy Slim and Fat Boy. I love this. This is fantastic.
Hey, quickly before we let you go, would you rather watch a game of football or maths?
No, I'd rather see some of the brides in maths play football.
Play football.
Especially that one that did the dirty on Dion.
Pray for Dion.
Thanks, Crofty. You've been an absolute legend, mate. Cheers. Thank you.
Shaun Sport is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.